Welcome to the Golden Feather. Grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats. Your hosts, Virtek and Chibi Bree, are back from their latest adventure.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Golden Feather. Today we have Vox with us for Season's Antics, episode 31.
Hey, everybody.
Morning, Vox. Welcome.
Well, hello there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, no problem. For those of you that are just joining us or missed our last podcast, and I'm sorry ahead of time, it's not up on the Golden Feather YouTube. We're a little bit behind on that, but during the Christmas break that we're about to take as well, I will get all of that caught up and everything. There's a lot that we have planned. It's just, whew, man, it's been a busy time over here. Virtek's working a lot of overtime. I'm doing a lot of studying. Hi Z, welcome in. Glad to see you back. So yeah, that being said, we're going to be out for the rest of the year, but we'll be back on 1/11/20. Yay, new year. So new year, new things, new layout maybe. So yeah, we'll see. But aside from that, right now in the present, before Christmas, we have Vox. And Vox, you are a artist of a comic strip for Ashes of Creation, correct?
Yeah. I've been working on this since Kickstarter, probably. But
nice.
yeah, just chipping away at things when I have the free time. It's a project I just love art, but it's a question a lot of people who are casual, I suppose, like me, wonder like, what do you draw? So I figured I'll force myself to draw a comic. It'll make me draw a lot of frames that I wouldn't otherwise have thought of drawing. Some of them are pretty tedious, but it's a good way to practice the skills and be like, okay, well, I guess I'm drawing this now because the characters won't get to do it unless I draw it.
Right. I like it. What was the inspiration for creating the comic strip?
This one, I started out with the kind of some posts actually asking if other people wanted to work together because I love group projects.
Nice.
I think it's really fun. I mean, you guys probably already have that dynamic where on a day, you know, when someone feels a little down, you can kind of borrow some of the motivation from the other and you kind of push each other forward. So I was like, oh, that would be really fun. Tried to find some people to work on it with me, but I didn't get a lot of takers. There was a fellow who wrote the first page there. I put his name at the bottom. I don't recall it offhand. It's been a while. But I didn't hear back from him after that. But I thought it was a pretty great script. And same for the second page. I got a person, and then I kind of gave up on trying to find people and was like, all right, well, let's just give writing this a go. So now I'm writing it, but I'm actually still open to have other people collaborate as well.
I have an idea, but it's a secret, and I'll tell you off stream.
Okay.
Got a couple people you could probably send your way for things.
Yeah.
Sure.
Z says, pretty please, can you do one about couriers?
That's the one based on the pangolin, is that right? Or which one's the courier?
It's the little like sand shrew looking thing with the like gems on his back.
Yeah, it's a pangolin guy. Yeah, that's I think one of the only aesthetics that I bought. So that's
Pangolin.
Yeah, I could. Wow. Yeah, we'll see what we can integrate in there.
I'd Christmassy maybe one.
Yeah, well,
or winter.
my schedule's a little packed for Christmas.
Yeah.
But that would be pretty fun.
There is no actual Christmas in Ashes, I guess.
Valentine's Day, hunting down a courier to get the little gems for gifts.
That's cute.
Little rings and such. Need to make a necklace.
Yeah, it's morbid, but it's funny. That it would be great. I mean, I guess you could capture it alive, but
they made that whole joke about it on on the live stream too. Like, oh, it doesn't hurt them. You're just taking the gems from them. It's completely safe.
Helping them. Pangolin, by the way. Yeah, pangolin, by the way, to me sounds like a musical instrument. I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mandolin and I don't know. It does sound like that though, but they're pretty cute. I do like the way they animated them. I think they really did a great job with like the little tongues. So They did really nice jobs with those guys. I really like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious to see like their attack animations though. If you encounter them in the wild and they don't just die, if they actually do something like, what's I got to do to attack? I don't know.
Yeah, I almost think they might keep them in just like as they are right now. Like they're just scenery, not really interactable as far as like hurting them. But maybe if you have a courier pet and you're walking around with them, they'll like start to play together.
Yeah, or it could be like part of the animal husbandry where you can just catch them even if they're non-hostile, or they have like 1 hit point, so you can't go hostile on them without killing them, unfortunately. But yeah, something like that where they don't actually need to be in combat. I don't know. I'm really interested.
Hi, Sorry, I'm just gonna be talking to random people while you're talking.
No, absolutely. There's a crew there. I'm really interested in the fact that they've talked a couple times about effects that different animals, especially mounts, have, but I'm sure the pets will as well. Yeah. And how those type of like aesthetic skills will factor in for those guys. So that would be something really neat. Yeah, Zara. We tried to get more festive. I have a shirt with a Darth Vader with a Santa hat on it that says, "Your lack of cheer disturbs me." I couldn't find it. I think it's dirty and in the bottom of the dirty clothes bin.
Oh no.
Unfortunately. So because there is a Star Wars movie released this month, I did at least wear my expressions of Vader. Today we're going with angry because it's a bad release movie.
Oh.
And that fits with the black and red Santa hat he has. I went along with the shirt thing because I have this somewhere. I have this ugly sweater with R2-D2 on it, so we were totally gonna Star Wars it up, but I couldn't find mine, so didn't want to be the only one in the ugly sweater either. Maybe next year, guys. Maybe next year.
Yeah, I'll get an ugly sweater for next year. That's one thing I never really jumped on the bandwagon with. Next time.
I don't know. I saw a Star Wars one. I was like, Star Wars Christmas, yes. So, okay. So back to your comic strips. You have an entire website for your comic strips.
Yeah. For now, I'm putting it at aoccomic.com, but I'm trying to build that out so it's more user friendly to people. But for now, it's very lightweight. Won't track you or anything like that. So it's just a quick way to see some pictures, and we'll see what else we can add on there.
There's a link for those of you that are joining us on Twitch.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, just know, guys, when you go to that page, you go to the landing page. It's the story, and I don't know if it's going to do the same thing for everyone, but it went right to the last panel for me.
Yeah,
to avoid spoilers, hit first really quick.
I don't know. Well, that's an interesting community point. I've seen a lot of comics do that where they always bring you to the last page, just so I guess you can see if there's an update. But
yeah.
For the first page, that's an option too.
Have you considered putting it on Webtoon?
I've checked some of those sites. There's always a kind of a trade-off because a lot of them have maximum file sizes, and it's mostly a limitation of my ability in terms of what do they call that, storyboarding. But yeah, my images are huge and they don't break down well. So I'll look at it. I tried the Tapas one and that one was difficult, but I'll check because the social media and the interactions are nice. Yeah,
I really like Webtoon because what you can do is you can release one and then you can release an X amount more, and for a little bit of money people can see those things ahead of time. And then also, just side thing, I'm not trying to like hook you up with a hustle necessarily, but I know a lot of like artists and stuff, but like some of these comics or Webtoon people have Patreon where people can support to help them be able to take more time to do more of this stuff. So definitely not trying to like say you should totally like go get paid for it, but it would definitely help with the time you're taking for it, I assume, as well as if people like it, so
yeah, and I know I write off some fun things because I could use that time to make money, so I go in and I work overtime instead.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've seen a couple of comics do that successfully. It's neat. I really want to make sure that I can give people value there, but it's a lot to consider. I'm gonna make it either way, I guess. So if people feel that that's something that they'd be willing to contribute to, I'll bowl. But for now, I'm just trying to make sure that I have something out there that people think, yeah, this
But
is.
for now,
this is
check
worth
out aoccomic.com because they're really awesome.
I gotta say, if you guys read nothing else, at least check out the side tales. The side tales are little one shots that are
Oh my
actually
gosh,
pretty gold.
my favorite one
Pretty
is the
gold.
monster coin one. I told you not to use the monster coin anymore. I liked that one. But yeah, also I apologize. Again, I did not I was just trying to pull up a segment of it and I was just like, oh, that person's possibly naked. Let me find a different section of this comic.
I tried to be like I talked to the Ashes people a couple times, Margaret and Toast and everyone, and be like, what exactly are the guidelines that keep everything like safe? Anything that's really like not so great in content, and we kind of mentioned this a little earlier, is generally in Spanish. So if there's something there, it's probably something
spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were reading that, we're like, I don't know what this says, but like, I didn't know if that was maybe like you trying to cue in like a difference of language, possibly, or you know, like how there's the Orcish and then there's Elvish, etc.
Right.
And the common tongue. So
I did want to do that. A big thing for me though was just I you know, Lord of the Rings movies I thought were awesome. There is the type of thing where you kind of have to stand back and be like, okay, what if an adventuring party just wasn't a group of white dudes all the time? So I was like, okay, like what if the elf? Okay, what if it was like a Mexican lady? Like, I don't know, why can't you have an elf be like a Mexican lady for an elf? So I was like, you know what, let's do that.
That works.
Yeah. So, but I didn't. In order to work, it couldn't be patronizing. It couldn't be like a stereotype. It just had to be a person who just happens to not be a white guy.
I really like it though, because it does throw in that like they speak a common tongue that I mean, a lot of people that know English can read, and people that maybe not know Spanish like myself can get the gist of like, oh, that's a different tongue that they're speaking. So like they just happen to be, for the courtesy of this current moment, speaking in the current tongue, or at least it's possibly transcribed in the current tongue, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I love like a little bit of my political opinions are gonna sneak in here, but I love when you said that it has to just be. Because I hate when they try to slip in diversity stuff in like a patronizing, like you can tell that they're pushing their boot and cramming it at you.
Yeah.
But when it just exists, that's how you normalize it, and that's how it just exists. That's just how it is. I love when people do that, so I can definitely appreciate that approach.
Thank you. Yeah. So I did had a lot of help in terms of that scripting though, because again, trying to figure out what people would say. That wouldn't just be a joke. That's been a little tricky. So I have some great friends and friends of family members who have contributed there. But that's always been a little interesting. People are like, you want to know how to say what? I'm like, well, something like that.
Well, something along those lines.
You know, just because. But I like my favorite. A little bit of like a spoiler alert, but one of my favorite things is like the squawkers. You're just a cosmetic pet. Come on.
Yes, the pets with that person are amazing.
Yeah, I'm very much amused by it. But yeah, that brings us along into the newest. I kind of missed it because I didn't realize it was going to be on Monday until it was already passed, and I was like, oh, hey. There was a live stream. So Virtek and I have been catching up over the week and writing up some notes on it. For those of you that have missed it, Shays, as always, has a wonderful live screen transcript for you just to look it over and check it out real quick, for those of you that don't have like, you know, the hour to watch the entire video. But it is worth watching the entire video because they have some awesome video pieces in there. But before we get too far into that, there's also a new dev discussion group up. share your gaming obsession. So they just kind of want to know, like, which game are you very obsessed about. A lot of people I saw on their Twitter were saying Ash's Creation in general, but also aspects as to what about your obsession. So what brings you back? What makes you obsess over it? And I'm gonna kind of answer that one while covering the conversations and the Q&A that happened, because some of the things that bring me back were actually already covered in some of the discussion topics of the live stream. And my final piece of information before we continue on, which is also announced in the live stream, is that the creative director's letter is not on Christmas Day, but being officialized or completed over the holiday break. But on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, there are 2 new videos that are coming out for us to view. That was something that I had to like check with a couple of people, like, did I understand this correctly? Did he talk about something else? Like, so yeah. If anybody else is confused about it like I was, there it is.
Sometime over the holiday break. Yeah.
Yes. So
even Steven might have been a little bit confused about the schedule. I don't know. From the live stream, that was pretty funny. He was like,
it seemed like he thought the video was part of the creative director's letter as well. And like rewatching it with Virtek, she was like, no, that's something else. Like that's the thing that's on Christmas. So yeah. But yeah, so Thursday, following kind of in order, just because I just, this is fresh new, I want to get it out of the way, and like we can all go on and talk about it. But on Thursday there was the Castle Siege testing for PI that they had announced during the live stream, and we are allowed to talk about it, but we cannot explicitly share video or visuals about it. So I was able to be a part of that. I cleverly got out of work. But it was a lot of fun. For those of you that are PI that are joining us or joining us later, I want to know your thoughts and opinions as well. I know that we were asked to share feedback, but I played Cleric the entire time. That's all I wanted to play, because that's all I've been wanting to play since like we heard that there was like class kits happening. But yeah, it was really fun. It was really interesting. It was cool to be able to come into the world and have these big things that you can bring up to the castle gate as you're going towards the gate, and take over. It's like capture points kind of, and some capture points have like sway over your like things that you get. I don't know how to explain that. Not necessarily abilities, but like buffs, if you will. So I thought that was really cool.
Did they have snacks in the lobby while you're waiting?
Actually, there wasn't too much waiting, except for like waiting for those of you that have played the BR and have signed up to play the BR, there's the typical waiting screen that you get where it's like time in queue, time left, question mark kind of thing. So like that's pretty much what, and you're able to like play around with that stuff. But aside from that, no snacks. But
Womp womp.
the place that you you have the loading screen, and I should have thought about taking a recording I had from the BR, but like there's that typical BR loading screen, which is I believe still up, so if you guys want to see, go check that one out. And then as soon as that was done, there's like a screen where you can select defending or attacking and which class kit that you wanted. Not all of them are available because some of them are still being like completed, worked on, so that it can be added into the Castle Siege. But there was a button for like automatically select, so that you can just like, I don't want to choose, you choose kind of thing. Which I thought would be kind of fun if you got like because only in Apocalypse can you choose attack or defense. The only way that you would do that in the game is choose to defend with whoever's castle is being sieged, or choose to attack it. There's no click this button, that's what you are kind of thing. So I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe there is a click a button, I'm not sure, but not the way that this is working.
I just know that. Oh no, go ahead first. You go first.
Because I don't have a good idea in my mind of how a castle siege really works. I understand the team attacking the castle, but the one defending it, I assume it's not really like a historic historically accurate thing where they're just kind of literally under siege inside. Like, what role do the team defending the castle really act while they're waiting for the people to come in? Like, are they just racing out onto the battlefield and physically attacking, or do they have their own tools and machines that they're firing back with? Or can you say that?
One of the games I played, because all of the trebuchets, there's a trebuchet, and then there's another thing. I don't.
The ballista.
Ballista. I don't really
Catapult?
understand the difference.
The big
between
crossbow?
the two. Okay, so there's some things that are up on top that you can shoot down at the people from inside the castle. I'm so bad. I'm sorry. I don't know these like terminologies until I've seen them enough times and like associated the word with the item. But then on the outside, you have the big, I guess, catapults that sling things into the castle.
Yeah, there's like catapults that are usually like a giant spoon that launches something.
Yes, that
the
thing.
trebuchet is like a big frame with a weird swinging arm with a rope attached to it that slings stuff over top.
Oh, okay.
And then the ballista is like a giant crossbow.
Oh, okay.
It shoots big spears.
So you have those types of machines or
on the top of the castle
on both sides.
But also, if you're stealthy enough without like the other team realizing it, you could sneak out, steal one of their like catapults or something, and bring it inside the castle.
I heard a bunch of people asking before the test, can you catapult a player or trebuchet a player, or is it interact scripted only with the munitions for that thing? What's the physics on that?
I'm not sure, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of change that's going to be happening as they continue to test. But I do know that like as of the moment, it was difficult to tell like exactly like the health of things, or like I don't know. I figured out how to get on one, but I couldn't figure out how to get out of one until it died, and I didn't know when it was gonna die, kind of thing. So I was just like, I'm stuck. But Mackie's asking, how was the healing put together? Do you heal in a cone or is it a ground effect? It's an interesting thing. I'd say both, kind of. Kind of is because like for one of the healing things, there's like a placement wherever you are standing, and then like I don't know if you've ever played Overwatch, but there's like that big like sometimes there's like a circle that is a shield of some sort, but like imagine like a bubble, but this one's not necessarily like the bubble one. There's just like, imagine like a circle. There's a circular area, and as long as you're within this circle, you get healed as long as that circle is up, kind of thing.
Okay.
So if that explains anything, I can't think
like the soldier thing. You're running along, you drop it on the ground. It's a circle. It just stays right there. You can jump in and out of it.
Yeah, for like a certain amount of time. I don't know how long it was. I didn't pay attention to that. There was a whole lot going on. But it was funny. We had like 5 or 6 clerics in one of them. There was like a couple of circles on the ground, and like some of them were like overlapped, and yeah. But then there's the chain heal. That one was a cool thing to interact with. But I think that one's a area of effect, because if I wasn't close enough to somebody who needed healing, it would show up on the screen like, hey, there's no allies to heal, kind of thing. Otherwise, I think I like saw like for the current effect like plus marks everywhere, like heals. But the fun thing was, and I would actually to go into which I will, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them out there. I will answer them along the way. But to go back into the actual conversation, they had said about the scepter, which we use. There's actually 2 weapons that we use. I don't know. I think the other one was like more of a staff that you could like hurl fireballs at people with. But there was a scepter, and the additional ability that you had to toggle, which had actually quite a low cooldown, which I was impressed with as a cleric, is you heal people's armor when like attacking them with the scepter. But as soon as that like was over and you haven't refreshed or re-hit the toggle button, it wouldn't do anything. It would not keep healing their armor just by attacking them actively or doing left click, right click thing. So that was kind of fun. It was fun to like hit it and then come up on people to like start swinging at them, like heal your armor.
For some reason now I want to play like role play like a battle cleric and have like a giant smith's hammer with a goblin face on it, so I can either smash them to heal their armor, or like the goblin will puke green healing stuff at them.
Oh jeez.
Blah.
But
Very aggressive healing, like be healed. That's more
yes,
of
be
an
healed.
exorcism at that
Smash.
point.
There you go. That could be, because I mean, I know they've always talked about that in any time that they. That would give me such anxiety. But I know they've always talked about that throughout any time they've talked about healing. Is like we attack people to heal them at the same time as attacking enemies to draw health, kind of thing. So who knows? Maybe that can be an inspiration for a comic piece for you there. Just like
Yeah.
an over exaggeration of like attacking people, like smash, and like little plus signs. And like
I
instead
really
of
like
maybe
that.
like the birds around their head because they're dizzy, is like little plus signs around their head from being healed.
We had some like I think it was scrapped with like a concept where healing wasn't actually like a benevolent force. It was actually like this horrible demon, and there was like this like little old man who was symbolizing death, and healing would come up to him and was just like tearing his arms off and like biting his face, and like, no, that's probably like a little too much. But it's funny to kind of just play with what our expectations are in terms of the visualizations.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, and like they said, every player started with a potion, but depending on your class, that was either a healing potion or a mana potion. In my case, as a cleric, it was a mana potion. And a couple of times, I was like, why am I not healing? Why is my weapon not working? And I looked down, I'm like, oh, my mana's not there. I'm out of mana. So that was kind of fun.
Helps.
Yeah, right. You know, I went for the Warcraft terms. But
yeah, as soon as I can find the right image for it, I'm going to break the rules, and I am going to share an image about the Castle Siege. It's going to be the saddest face that I can possibly find because I didn't get to play it.
How long
But I
do
need
the
to find a
matches
face
last?
sad enough. I need to find a face sad enough first, though.
How long do the matches last? It depends. As they were saying, they had ones as quickly as 5 minutes, but there's like a set timer, and if the attacking team is unable to capture the relic thing, I don't remember what they called it. I'm going to call it a relic. It looks like a crystal thing to me, but if they're unable to capture it within that time, then it takes the whole entire 30 minutes. So 30 minutes maximum. But I mean, the first one we went in, I don't know, it was interesting. Like, we went in and we're like, before I knew it, it was done, and I was like, oh, there's no more fighting? Okay, cool, we're done.
The end.
And then when we swapped and we were defender instead of attacker, it was rather quick as well. And then I felt like from there, people were like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this.
Didn't they say like on the live stream somebody like in was it in their internal testing that capped it in like 5 minutes or something?
Yeah, apparently that wasn't supposed to happen. Also, another thing that wasn't supposed to happen is I guess the game was kind of broke and nobody was able to capture it. But like in the last 30 seconds, Margaret said she was able to get it.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So I thought
Now,
that was
when you're
kind of
doing
funny.
Does the Castle Siege itself represent kind of in the game like the final phase of the Castle Siege? Because it's like rolls out over 4 weeks, right? So it's like the fourth week equivalent.
Yeah, this is like if, let's say, an enemy guild wants our node or whatever. So like they declare a war on our castle. This is like the war that's happening. This is like there'd be a lot more to it because, as I said before, there's a lot of buildup where over time you are building up your defenses and things like that. So like there's a lot of like surrounding nodes that you would have to fight through as well. But this is like we are at the castle and we are storming it currently, and that's kind of the view that you're getting when you do the Castle Siege. But it was super.
It's like the stripped down version of the PvP castle thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like you load into your zone if you're defending, your load inside the castle. If you're attacking, your load in outside the castle, and then you just kind of like go for it. You're like ah. So it was fun. For the time being, because I believe they said that there wasn't going to be any teleportation. I don't know how this is going to work as far as Castle Siege goes, but in the Castle Siege apocalypse testing that we did, when you load it in, you can select E on the like there's when you first start the BR and there's that rift, that black and purple rift that you see when you first come out of it, and you're in the sky. So there's something like that, but on the ground, and you can hit E, and if you have any points, you can teleport to any of those points. So a lot of the time on the attacking side, there's like 2 nodes that you can obtain close to each other. So we try to keep the one close to the relic active for our side at all times if possible, and then just like port right over there, and then just like attack from there. But yeah, definitely had some experiences with the tank and everything like that, because as they said, they wanted to make sure the tank wasn't too OP and that you can just lasso people. But there's also some issues where like there was this person in the sky that like somehow got on top of the relic, and like we couldn't reach him at any point, so we were trying to like send archers up there to like attack him. So
see, I suddenly have the urge to if playing, like let an enemy team capture the one closest to the relic, but first I want to sneak out and find a trebuchet and bring it inside and aim it directly at that teleport in point. So as soon as I see a person pop up, I can just launch the trebuchet at him in an instant death.
That would be funny. There's actually one of the abilities, as they were saying, like there's explosions happening around. I think somebody's ability is kind of, maybe it's a mage. You know how in the BR you have the book and then you can like drop down this massive crater out of nowhere? It's something similar like that. So like there's these like red lines red things on the floor, and I'm like, oh no, I know something is coming, but I don't know when. I'm like trying to get out of them. There's like one here, and I'm just like trying to dodge them. But they also incorporated the black zones as well. So if you were cool with this, get somebody who's an archer to put a black zone right on the teleport in part. People would just teleport into pure blackness and then just like attack them with like the bombs from fire, I'm guessing.
Honestly, you probably wouldn't need to man the walls too much if you were to set up a lure like that and people were to actually take the bait. Just have a bunch of people standing around right there.
Right. There you go. Tactics from Chibi Bree.
Find a way to turn the one of the ballistas around from the castle wall and aim it at the same little teleport node. Right. So you got a trebuchet, you got a
you got a ballista.
You got the trebuchet, you got the ballista, and you got a bunch of friends just sitting there keeping it dark and ready to blow them up. They're like, come on in, guys.
Archers were was it like active, or was it hit scan, or how did the archers fire in this round? Because it was a little both in Maypock, right?
So I don't know, because as I had mentioned, I play only cleric this entire time.
Oh, okay.
But some of the other people are in the guild. I think Zara was there. I don't know who else as far as who I think played. Because I think Zara was saying, like, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. But then was saying, like, she would leave the cleric to me because I was clearly, like, all about that cleric, though. So,
and Sauce was probably in there, I almost guarantee it.
Oh, yeah, but I don't remember what he was playing. I can't remember if he was, like, more of the tankier person or what. So, I think Zara might know about the archer, and there's a few other people. Bushi was in there with me doing cleric stuff. That was fun. Although he changed his name, and they're like, can you heal Fushi? And I'm like, where's Fushi? And meanwhile, he's like the thing right in front of me that I don't even recognize because it's not Fushi name. So I'm just like, sure, but where is he? And they're like, he's right in front of you. But moving on, I think that's enough for this part. Again, with the questions as we go along. But engineering has been making tools for Intrepid to help their artists do more things. One of the tools that they talked about was making it so that, like with the nodes and stuff, you can just quickly be able to create different nodes of different sizes and different types. Just making the MMO creation so much faster. And we all know that from server to server, the world is going to be different as far as like, it's going to be a parallel universe, and it's not even going to be the same.
Yeah. But I like that. Yeah, definitely make tools that will cost, a month worth of one person's time making it now to save 2 or 3 months worth of a lot of people's times. coming
Right.
up to launch, and then after launch even more so.
Right. Because one of the things that the artist had mentioned was that, by the way, Makinoji, that's funny. Yeah. It's Makinoji says, "Oh, that's awesome," referring to the black shield where nobody can see and like just barraging them with attacks. It's like dropping the gate in ESO as an enemy is sieging the door, right? But as far as like the character creation, they were saying they're able to make a lot of different characters based off of one model, cutting down times by like days, if not weeks, after you add on enough, you know, and having a tool that does a similar thing for lots of different aspects of the game is awesome, including but not limited to the abilities they're talking about. They have like the base abilities that each class has, but then having a tool that allows them to quickly like kind of drag and drop and augment on top of their as far as what the engineering side was talking about.
Yeah, the ease of just taking this and modifying it a little bit, and the rest of the base work is all done, so makes it easy peasy going forward.
Right. But another cool thing, as far as like the character stuff, with base models, on that subject, they did show in the live stream the rendering of like 5,000 people, which, by the way, that reminded me of I forgot who was it that played World of Warcraft Classic that you showed me. They did a little video where they were like logging in, and as they're like zooming into the starting area for this person's chosen race, there's like literally like ant version of like ant lions of people just like running through the hills and like.
I'm drawing a complete blank on his name for some reason.
Yeah,
I know for a minute he jumped on the podcast with From the Ashes. He jumped on there for a minute with him.
Yeah. Man, I can't think about it. But like that's what it reminded me of. Just seeing all these people just running everywhere. It was like his little video clip of like starting out the World of Warcraft Classic and just the numerous amounts of people running around on the server already, in real time.
Just a steady stream of ants just strolling in from login.
Yeah.
It was a really neat effect to just see that that's even at this point. So
I thought it was also awesome because they're like, yes, there is 5,000 people, but realistically for us, there might be closer to 1,000 people. So pushing past all of that, meaning that like if it can handle 5,000 people, it should be able to handle 1,000 people plus certain amount of extra things being attached, like cosmetics and stuff like that.
Yeah, effects and damage and all that stuff.
Yeah. Which they're saying. Go ahead.
I was going to say, which makes me kind of curious, though. If you did have 1,000 people that were throwing out effects that were damaging multiple people, like AoEs and damage tick dots and healing tick dots, I wonder if there would still be more actual data flowing with like people walking around, or if it would actually cause more data flow, because then you have like one person could be taking AoE damage, direct damage, a couple healing ticks, and a couple damage ticks all at once.
Well, I do know that. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, this I think that the ticks, if it's on you, it's probably a low cost. But if you have something like you guys were talking about before with like a healing beacon where you had to run into the area and have collision with that area, that's one thing. And the thing that really makes me wonder is when you have I think it was the tank that had the ability before where they summoned the wall, like a wall of ice or something, or was it like Earth? And when you actually have those physical contact regions, sorry, puppy, yeah, fine. If you have a physical contact region there, having collisions with that, if you have a whole bunch of people generating those type of actual like dynamic structures, I could see that having a huge cost to that, especially, and I don't even know if this happens, if you're allowed to climb on them, like if you made a bunch of them, what would happen if they have real volume? Do they have a top, like you can go on top of them? That would be awesome, but also very expensive, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that they said in the Q&A, because this was a question that came up, they said that like 85% of the what was it, network?
The network traffic
was active moving around, because it's what they're trying to do is make sure that they're simulating in real life, like in real time, across everybody's thing. And this was kind of interesting because if you've ever played Final Fantasy XIV, Virtek and I have played together occasionally, and I'd be like, I'm the one in front, and he'd be like, no, I'm the one in front. So it was just kind of interesting to see from two different people's perspectives the rest of the world around us, as far as like who's the person technically in front of the other person as we're running, kind of thing.
Seeing latency in action as we're racing somewhere and both of us go, I won!
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, no, look at my stream. I'm totally in front of you. But that's the thing, like 85%, as they stated, was just in real time movement on everybody's personal computers and seeing everything the way that one person sees it. And then,
oh yeah, Mackie's comment. I'd want to see 5,000 players with 5,000
oh yeah,
non-combat pets beside him as well.
that was Toast.
Oh no, Mackie was just saying that. Then you'll have to account for the pieces of armor moving or animated pets.
Yeah,
You actually don't that way. Just because there's one confusing thing when we talk about movement. For example, if you have a mage shoot out, I don't know if this example exists, but let's say you can summon a boulder and you can shoot forward a boulder that rolls over people. The boulder, even if it's moving, isn't going to be like a person moving because you know ahead what its exact path is going to be. Unless you create a boulder that has just ragdoll physics and launch it, that's going to be crazy, but they won't do that. So let's say you have like a ball of fire boulder moving forward that rolls over people. If you know its start and end point, you're just plotting it as a function, and you can do that total server-wise. So the same as a pet. If you have a pet moving, even it can look very organic, but you can have a very complex function or set of functions where it loops through and chooses a function for its movement and then moves around the player based on an algorithm. So you can save a lot of traffic that way. And I'm sure they have other much fancier ways to do that, but that's different than having something have total free will, like a player that could just go run around nonsensically.
Right.
Yeah, I guess they could probably have most of the stuff just being generated on the player's computer rather than on the server for non-combat stuff anyway.
Yeah, that would make sense. I like Mackie's conversation. For those of you, I mean, oh right, I forgot. I did totally put it on screen. But like, let's add that skill, by the way, shooting boulder, running over people. Plus,
I love
not
that
to
idea.
mention, yeah, right. Plus, not to mention the whole hitbox of the boulder, right? So,
Right.
the boulder already has its like plotted path plus a certain amount of hitbox. So that
yeah, as far
adds
as
it interestingly.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff to account for, but yeah, they probably try and offload as much as possible onto people's machines to keep the server running smooth for everybody.
Which, by the way, if your computer's a potato, kind of like Damien's, no offense, this is a little bit older, but there's a lot of people that are like, oh, my game froze while we were testing, but like, because Virtek made me his dream computer, I was like, I have no issues, but I didn't want to say anything the whole time because I felt bad that like everybody's like, yeah, so like people are stuck and running into walls, and I'm like running around like, haha, I can heal people. But they were saying if your computer is kind of a potato, you can have a base mode for your character where like it removes a lot of the extra stuff and makes it a little easier for the computer to run. A default base.
Yeah, and that's going to be the key thing. If you can like limit your draw distance and like all sorts of nifty things like that, like remove non-combat pets from your view altogether when it comes to battle stuff. You know, I was thinking during the live stream when they were going over that stuff, like how cool would it be if the system has a flag right now for do you want to attack or defend, right?
Right.
And if you jump into the battle, you're queued, you're in that battle. How cool would it be if that also triggered an alternate set of settings that you could always have on your computer, like on your preferences? When entering this type of mode, shift all these graphical settings to this other preset.
That would be actually kind of cool. And I think Margaret had mentioned something like that. I've never seen it personally. I don't know what game does this, but it apparently can do like a Shift F and like it turns off all these things and like changes over to a different like version of like settings. But
yeah, it depends on the
really
game.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, some games will do that. I know most of them are like you set it and leave it like that forever, and that always bothered me because when playing WoW, outside of a 25-man or 40-man raid, I could set my graphics settings to like the max. In like a 25, 40-man raid, I had to dial everything down to like 50%. or else my computer would just freeze.
Yeah, you would just be like, okay, people moved. Wait, nope, just kidding. They're frozen again. But in that same kind of thing, also commented or handled in the Q&A was that somebody had asked, what is the plan to make questing immersive? And they said that they want to, they have some tech to do things to see what is relevant to you and only you. Or phasing, as a lot of us know that as, and I thought that was really cool too, because the conversation was on like, what if I have to kill big bad Mr. Meanie guy and there's already like 3 of his skeleton on the floor, like World of Warcraft. Like that's not very immersive. He's already been dead somehow 3 times over, you know.
Yeah, as long as they do it properly, where if it's a quest that you can take a party on, then people who aren't on that quest but are in your party, they can see it too and interact with it.
Yeah. But
Or you have the guy, every time he respawns, he's like, "You killed my brother," and then he just charges at you, and then he's trying to like, make up an excuse for it.
My name is Montoya Montana. You've killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like generations of you've killed my father. Every time it's you've killed my father, then you've killed my grandfather, then you've killed my great. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, right, exactly. They just kind of like add a suffix at the end, the third, the fourth, the fifth.
You've killed someone from my extended family. Prepare to die.
But yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. By the way, leaderboards, also coming from the testing side of things, are there, as they also confirmed this in the live stream, that yes, they're there, they're just not officially connected to the back end yet, which has already started to take data. And for those of you that didn't know, the previous information from all of the BR testing is not being recorded. It's from like that day forward, not anything previously. So, but it's kind of cool because, you know, they're planning on having it like guild stats, crafting and harvesting stats, dungeons, the fastest times, raids, PvP, etc. So I thought that was really, really cool. It was nice to see it, and I could click between things, so I thought that was really interesting. It also reminds me of what I'm working on for software, because I'm doing the UI development stuff, so it kind of reminded me of create a user, and then like you create a couple of users, and then you could sort them by like their first name, last name, date of birth, things like that. So
yeah
I feel like I can totally relate to that, because I'm like, oh, I did this, but for like, you know, websites, not video games. But still, I thought it was really cool.
It's applicable. All right. One thing I would love to see, when they always have like leaderboards for like fastest clear times, I want to see, especially because of they have these 8-man teams now, or 8-person teams, I should say. I want to see like the lowest total team level.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, because they always rush in terms of max geared people. I want to see like, can you take this like high level dungeon when you're all playing like, you know, 75% the way to cap, and like really push players to have skill based competitions rather than just
like solid planning and preparation and communication and all that. Yeah,
like speed runs. Like you don't try and see in a speed run someone get to max level the fastest. They try and like find exactly how to hide in every corner, avoid every attack. And I think that type of like skill based version of competition I don't usually see in any type of leaderboard, but it would be easy to do. And with these 8-person teams, I really want to see what they can do with that, because we haven't seen that in such a long time. I don't know if there was I can't remember if there was a point. I don't want to skip ahead too much, but for the 8-person stuff, I think that's really going to change a lot about the dynamics for these instances or events.
Yeah, by the way, feel free, like the thing we linked you is just a guide reference. Feel free to jump around all over the place. It's like no particular order.
Well, I don't know if where this would fit in then, but one other thing that in terms of the visuals and experiences, when you have an 8-person team, I thought it was really interesting to think about just how much more space you're going to need within an encounter for some of these things. Like when running in with a group, like a room just needs to be that much bigger to have almost twice as many people as we're used to. So, or
more disciplined players.
Yeah.
Right. Also kind of brings to mind like D&D, back when I played Pathfinder and D&D a lot, and there was like, I told one of my groups that, hey, by the way, these people are like 3 levels above you, so they're gonna, like, you can defeat them, but like you can get really hurt doing it. And so, as crafty Pathfinder players do, they concocted this elaborate scheme to build a giant bomb out of alchemist potions and the Pearl of Destruction and tie it together with glue and rope and then toss it into the room. Except for,
That's awesome.
One of them almost tripped with it and wiped them all out, but I allowed a merciful rule for acrobatics for somebody else to like step in and try to like push it out of the way. And they ended up being able to do it, but like there was a massive cave after that because, just a bomb, so it's just like there's just a giant hole on the floor after that.
Because that's what matters. The thing that you're not really supposed to do is more important than saving the world.
Right,
you could save the world, or could get into yeah, right.
I was like, congratulations, the whole entire room, including all of the loot, is gone. But I mean, it's memorable. It's these kind of stories that are going to be exciting, and like things that I'm excited to see from like one server to the other server of like, well, this guy spawned earlier and this is how we dealt with it, and like another one's like, oh yeah, but he spawned over here and like we had this tactical advantage of doing blah 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 blah, and it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the differences in the various servers for that.
I'm so excited.
It's gonna be interesting.
But yeah, also the other thing, as far as going back to the PI testing thing, as far as performance, that's why they needed us to be able to help with testing. Is at one point there was, on accident, all of us ended up in one room and we're like fighting, and they're like, hey guys, can you not like, not necessarily like camp, like as if that was a bad thing, the relic, but it was just bad because I guess their server was having issues handling it. So they're like, can you not like all stand on top of the relic area, please? Thank you. Just because, server stuff. But yeah, it's just interesting because the simulation that they had was in a 4 square kilometer area. And Maggie brought up a good point about like, well, what if there's trees? What if there's this? What if there's that? And they had collision on, so you could see people like running into each other, and the original like beige guy versus all the red guys just running everywhere like chaos. But it's like massive battles like the castle siege, the caravans, the naval things eventually, that the performance needs to be handled on. And I thought it was kind of cool because they're saying as nodes kind of level or de-level, different events will happen, and one of those events is apparently like a bandit group can like come and attack your caravan randomly. You're just like, oh no, NPCs are attacking our caravan, what do we do? So being able to handle both player and non-player, and just things like that, I think it's just gonna be really interesting. But there. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just in terms of trees standing up. I'm wondering, like, how much impact really does a tree have? Because if you think about like terrain, if you can't just walk over terrain, then at a certain point, terrain, whether it's a tree or just a bump in the ground, is an equal amount of obstacle to your the translation or whatever you want to call it of your character. So it's really interesting just in terms of how they'll actually map that. But I wouldn't worry too much about something like trees per se.
Yeah. So, excuse me.
We need water in here.
Got a frog in my throat. But like you were saying earlier, so right. So here's where the tree may come into impact, because like as you were saying, if it's just an obstacle in the way, all it does is, in effect, it just puts a hole in the ground that the thing has to walk around, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not allowed to walk on that part of the entire map matrix. So with the tree itself on the server side, not a big issue. But when it comes to on player side, you were mentioning this earlier, how there's some dynamic movements of the plants and brushes and even maybe trees, where they were actually moving. Like on the player side, that would create a lot more strain on the graphics card for sure. So on the player side, that would probably cause some more issues versus just people running around.
Yeah, unlike with like World of Warcraft, really like, I'm a tree, Ash is like, I'm a tree.
I'm a tree.
But yeah, they did say that they have some pretty exciting announcements for Q1 of 2020. There's a Virtek's thing of ale, I guess I'll call it. I don't know what that's called. What's that called? In your hand.
Tankard.
There we go.
Brr.
Tankard of ale.
Oh,
but
I wish.
but basically, I like the idea that they're talking about with A1 or Alpha 1. I kind of take out Alpha. I just call it A for like the Alpha 1, Alpha 2, A1, A2, etc. But in A1, they're wanting the base archetypes to be available for that, and for there to be a new system ability that I covered earlier was for coming from engineering. But they like take into like mind or thought account. There we go. Take into account how like the skills are like mixed together or swapped out for each other for the augment system. But I also like that they're saying that they're wanting to be able to make it so like a lot of these new skills are like on a database side of things versus like complete new skills or something that they have to try to figure out how to make. Kind of like with the nodes, where for those of us who did the Alpha 0 testing, they as in the environmental artist were manually creating the node up, node down kind of things versus having that automated. As far as like, okay, we're going to level this up and this is what that looks like leveled up, versus like, okay, here's an idea of what it should look like when it's leveled up. Now let's add a bunch of different things to it to make it super unique based on race and area, etc.
Yeah, you know what? Every time they talk about that procedurally generated node, I always have like images to anime where they'll have like the post-apocalyptic Japan or whatever, where it's like a giant tower with like buildings that are welded together and like different little like mobile homes that are welded to the outside of a building sticking out and such. Like, what if we just got a node just created as like a metropolis, and it's just like it's tops of buildings sticking out perpendicular to the rest of the building?
That would be kind of funny. It kind of reminds me, it's like totally off topic in a way, but it kind of reminds me of like the behind the scenes of making Shrek, when like the animations would go wrong and like just like things were like sticking out of wrong and wonky places. Like sometimes like the head was missing completely. Like, by the way, there's no head now, there's just eyeballs.
Yeah. Oh, like that movie Ready Player One, like that.
Oh
one,
yeah,
the
there
towns
you go.
there.
But
I don't know how too far. Sorry.
No, go for it.
Not to go too far, but if you guys do get to see the making of that Enter the Spider-Verse movie, they actually did that on purpose, and they show a zoom out of the actual city they use, and it's a nonsensical shape, but it looks awesome when you zoom in and crop certain angles of it, and they did all kinds of like weird stylistic things like that intentionally, so it can work both ways. But if they did do that in the game, it would be amazing with any of like I know they said parkour is kind of like a not necessarily actually going to happen now, but they're going to try for it as much as they could. But that type of stuff would be really cool, just to see how you could actually transverse those things, like teleport up as like a mage and perch up there.
I would find it super amusing for that to be like either a April Fool's joke or a Halloween thing, where like something has happened and your node is de-leveled and re-leveled into this wonky thing.
There you go. Yeah, actually, like a giant, powerful wizard came down from the mountain and just like, completely changed your town.
Congratulations, your city now makes 0 sense. There's a tree on top of a building. I don't know, sticking out the side, and the building is sideways now.
That would be awesome. Even a node unlock, like you got to level 5, okay, but now you have to fight this boss before you can actually make use of it.
That would be cool.
There you go.
The other thing that they said that they're going to do is actually the dev diaries for the artist's node tool. So that's something to look forward to. As well as they're wanting to make each node layout kind of more dynamic, as well as like different footprints for different node levels. So this whole like hex procedural thing. I didn't really understand a lot of it, other than like they want different representations of all the nodes of each culture, like populating the world, kind of, and like a very diverse node composition situation happening.
Yeah, just saying it would work together in like a hex shaped node, I'm guessing, is where the hex part comes in. Like the nodes are all going to be hex shaped, and like how they connect with one another. So one's going to develop something and then spread out to the other ones a little bit, and then each impacted side will start its building there and then continue building out the rest of the hex. That's what I took from it.
Yeah,
I thought that would be kind of cool, though. One of the other things, and I know Sam's name just because everybody talks about her so much, and she's too scared to go on to the actual like podcast with them. But I think she was on the charity stream with them. But she's the one that's been kind of working on the questing system, as far as like different quests and stuff. But I thought it was kind of cool that like engineering said like they're creating support for like design, for objective variance and optimization. So like they're still linear for the most part, but there's like variance to them. I thought that was really, really cool. I'm looking through the notes trying to find the place that I was talking about it. Yeah, the backstories and groundwork for Quest was made by Sam.
There you go.
But I thought that was really cool. Plus, the cool thing with PI is that you can create a quest line, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I know. Well, we get to create an event.
Oh, an event, right? No, and it was characters
like holiday
and an
event or something.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we can name a character and have an event. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'm totally gonna be looking for the event where you have to blow up a character with a pearl-based bomb.
There's Chibi's event.
Gotta dig through the warehouse to find anything you can to make a bomb.
Yeah, right. Quick, go.
So, as we're getting close towards the ending time here.
Oh, geez. Wow, there's so much left we haven't even covered. Jeez.
Yeah, right? Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff they talked about. Plus, I mean, we had a whole lot of talk about the comic stuff, too.
Yes. Exciting. I'm so excited.
But I want to see if you can name two things that stood out most to you or that you were more enthusiastic about from the live stream. And
I'm passing that to Vox first.
Two things?
Yeah.
One thing that's... Oh, sorry. Did you want to say more than that?
Oh, no, I was going to say, if you need a moment, I could already name two myself.
Okay, I actually have one that really stood out to me. Well, I did say the plant. I thought the plant with the shrubs moving were fantastic, and I really hope they have some great dynamic motion on the plants.
Yeah.
And the other thing that really stood out to me, I forgot the fellow's name, the lead designer there, who they had on.
Ooh, I have that in the notes somewhere. Let me go look for it while
you're talking about McP?
Not
That's
him. He's the engineer. Yeah.
Chris Atkins.
Fellow. Yes, thank you, Chris.
No problem.
Was talking about the fact when he made that design for the headpiece.
Kevin, Chris.
it's got a cuss sound. How he made it, and then they were considering other things like having it have effects, which is cool, but especially the fact that he mentioned that he really wanted to make it look good from the back, which to me it's a really big thing because there's so many like MMOs with cool designs where they just look really great from the front, and then you're just stuck looking at this black slab of a cloak like the whole time. You're like, man, I wish I could see how cool my character looks, and then you have to stop to look. I still look cool, and you're back to the fight. So just the fact that they're aware of that, and that probably blends in with other things like we're talking about scaling down things for big fights. The fact that they're aware of what you're seeing and they're really paying attention to that makes me have a lot of confidence in him as a lead designer.
Oh yeah, I was totally gonna, if this wasn't already gonna be holiday themed, I was gonna totally try to find a way to get that headdress and just like plop it right behind me.
There you go.
Just like print it on a big piece of paper and just stick it right behind me. There we go.
Get the glowing moon and everything.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. Right.
I know the two things two of the things I guess that kind of stood out for me. Like the one was when the Q&A part where they're talking about a kind of like a sandbox area where they could test out different builds and such. I really, really hope that they do something like that. And for 2, I think because there's such a debate that they have about damage meters, that I hope, if nothing else, that they put open damage meters on the testing area. At bare minimum, if they do not put it anywhere else, they really need to have like a testing thing where you could copy your character over with your guild or whatever, go run a raid and see what you're doing for damage, and at least be able to test yourself on the testing server. But I
So,
thought
like,
it
the
would be
Alpha
neat.
2. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
asking if it was the Alpha 2 that they were saying was going to be like a standalone afterwards as a PTR.
Oh yeah, if it was going to persist
PTS.
going forwards, yeah, as a public test realm or PTR or PTS public test server.
Yeah.
But I think it's the idea is neat to be able to just drop in, like, I haven't ever tried a fighter. Let me just get a max level fighter and get armor and weapons and go test it out and try a build and see if I enjoy it. But I think they would have to limit, like, remove all story aspects out of it. Because if they didn't, then somebody would just go through, jump in the test realm, get the max level character, go play the story, and be done with it.
Right.
Instead of having to actually like play through or whatever.
It'd be kind of like that would be interesting, because like they're saying like a persistent Alpha 2, so maybe there's like some basic quests that you can do with basic fighting that isn't necessarily story specific, even though that could sounds like a really hard thing to not do, considering there is super complicated history and like story arcs and things like that. But I don't know, yeah, I think that would be kind of cool, because I know that they were saying like if they did have Alpha 2 as like a persistent PTS, that would occur post Alpha 2. So maybe whatever was that's the downside with PTRs, they spoil stories. Right. So like whatever was maybe like the test, maybe there could be like complete just non-story related or like made up, not really anything to do with the actual video game storylines to do, where just like for the sake of, because I know when we're going into Alpha 2, they don't want to spoil a lot of the story for us still, right? They want us to be able to experience the full story when we first actually start playing the video game. So I'm sure they're going to have already some quest lines that are not necessarily storyline specific as far as like secrets to Alpha.
Imagine conquer the mighty Lorium Ipsum, like whatever thing.
Right. That'd be funny. Conquer the lore boss to release the lore information. And then after you fight him, now you must go play the real game. Wahaha.
Yeah, but see, like, and it'd be dandy, like, if they had like a regular PTR server like every other game has, where you go in and it's got like the stuff that you need to test, like make sure the raid boss is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing before they release it live.
Right.
Like, that still makes sense, but one where you could jump in and literally just create a character at max level to see if you like the skills and everything, or try different builds or what have you, see if maybe you want to pay the whatever fee to change your secondary, or anything else. Like, am I going to enjoy playing a ranger cleric at all? Before I even make a ranger, let me try one with all of its skills to see if it's something I would actually ever really use.
Yeah. And one of the things that Toast was kind of like teasingly saying, you're playing that, as in like all of BR, not really BR, but like as far as the Castle Siege, with our first look at class kits and going forward, Alpha 1, Alpha 2, these things will be there for you to be able to have different experiences. But also another thing that I'm sure Virtek would also be pointing out is, as the game continues, in the case that like, oh, this is too powerful, this is not powerful enough, if something was nerfed before and got boosted, maybe I might want to go try that again and see if maybe I like it now, kind of thing. Or also for testing out, like, well, I had this augment before and this seemed weak, but there's a new patch put out. Maybe now that augment feels a little bit better. Maybe I want to swap back over that augment instead, kind of thing. So there's a lot. And that kind of goes to the other question that somebody had about like the 64 classes. Is it really 64 classes? And the kind of rundown was that, yes, there's 8 base classes, but there's also like 8 classes that are augmenting that base class kind of thing.
And dear Lord, that was the other one that kind of
glad I pulled that
I
up for you.
responded to, or one of them, I should say. Like it was associated with the if your main tank gets sent to bed by mom, etc., etc. Because it's, man, this question will never end. People just, I guess they don't, and I say people don't because a lot of the times it's the same people asking it. I'm not gonna, roar about the person who asked it this time around, because I don't recall who asked it exactly, but I have seen the same people come up and say, no, that's not how it is anymore. Stephen changed it. No, he didn't. He didn't change it. Like, if you know how it was before, and then you're saying right now that you changed it, but he didn't. It's the same thing. And this is confirming it again, that yes, if you have tank in your name, you have some degree of tankability. It may not be pleasant. It may not be the most effective, but you have some kind of tankability. If you have ranger in your name, you can do something ranger-like, and you will probably have some kind of a ranged single target attack modification. Like it's going to impact you in a noticeable way, but
yeah, like,
it's going to impact all the classes the same.
Yeah. Somebody who has cleric as a secondary could heal, maybe not other people very well, but
there's going to be some healing, some form of keeping somebody alive in an extra fashion that you could not before.
Right. And that was your second thing?
Yeah, that was my second thing.
See, I was so busy listening, I didn't even think about 2 things for me. One of the things that I really liked was, well, I guess in general, I really like the idea that they're building a lot of these node, like just systems in general, tools and systems that Intrepid can use itself. If they don't make it, or if it's not out there, make it yourself kind of a thing. Or if it's out there but it's not doing what you want it as fast as you'd like it, make it yourself. But I thought that was just kind of cool because I know that I've personally heard a lot of like, rawr, there's no MMORPG stuff. Where's the MMO stuff? And it's like kind of around us, maybe not in the exact format that we would like, but seeing the Brew Bear is technically an MMO piece. Seeing the little pangolin is technically an MMO piece. It's for the MMO. They're still working on things. While it may not be, here is an aspect of somebody going and doing a quest and completing the quest and fighting this mob, etc. Courier. Like, while it may not be in that format that a lot of people are like wanting to see as far as MMO content is going, these are little things that are indicative to the MMO content being created. And I really enjoyed the idea that like so many of these tools end up lowering, while it does cost a lot of time initially, it takes away so many it's okay. It takes away so many of the expensive time later down the road with recreating and having the base, etc., to build off of or use as inspiration off of. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed about it. I'm kind of, again, going down the whole software thing, so like the whole engineering thing, I was like, oh, these are so cool. Like, I would never make these probably because I'm doing website stuff, but as far as like seeing some of the things that I'm aware of, as like even with the leaderboard being used in a website or not even web, in a video game that I'm learning on the website side, is just, I feel like, oh, I understand, like there's time and effort that goes into that, and it's so cool what comes out. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so into doing software engineering, because I like nerd out at the smallest little thing to do with it. But the other thing that I kind of enjoyed was, let me look for it real quick. Well, one thing that I both enjoy, as well as was something that I said I was going to come back to for the dev diaries. They were talking about the changing the look of things depending on, like, let's say people applying an enchantment to it. And one of my favorite things with World of Warcraft was figuring out that enchantment or enchanting class gave off a look to your weapon after it did something to it, other than just like, let me apply this just to apply it so it looks cool. Longest stream over. Oh no, sorry. Oh hey, welcome to regular, Virgo. But yeah, basically I just thought it was kind of cool that they're thinking about, oh, that guy has a red aura on his weapon. He must be super strong. Maybe I should avoid him, or maybe I should go attack him, as Steven put it. So I thought that was really cool, and that's something that gets me excited because it's the little things that add on to the gameplay that increases the gameplay enjoyability. Like, as the person who's around the weapon, armor, whatever, like, oh wow, look at that neat effect. But as the person that has it, like, oh yeah, look at this neat effect, and it does stuff.
Yeah.
That's my short, sweet, to the point version. Sorry.
No, I thought that was really cool too. Glad you brought that up.
Alrighty, so I think because we have been on here for quite a while now, we can maybe hold off the fan focus stuff for the next one.
I'm so sorry, and there's so much more that we haven't even covered that we will probably be throwing into the when lack of conversation topics pull from here, because these were interesting kind of things. So.
Yeah, we had a bunch that we could have talked about today. I mean, it's not like any gigantic news, but there was a lot of really nifty stuff. So.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, nothing ever should be like, we want to focus on our guests, so like the fact that there's more to talk about is awesome, because this is the first time ever. Not only is this the longest stream, but also the first stream where we have leftover things to talk about, which is awesome. So thank you for showing so much about your comic book strips and things like that, and it's really awesome to hear kind of like the behind the scenes aspect of it, and like where it came from and what inspired you.
Oh. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate that, people can enjoy it, and that you're taking the time to have me and talk about it. And I'm glad to have really found out about this, your program as well. So now I can come back and watch it next week or the week after.
We'd appreciate the company.
On the 11th, we'll be back.
Right.
But do you have anything you'd like to spread out there as far as the comic goes? Like anything you'd like to share besides the fact that you're obviously going to be creating a Courier comic because Mr. Z says it must be, therefore it must be.
Well, and I did get it, so I probably once I actually get to like pop them out, I'll very likely draw one. But I don't have a lot of social media and stuff. So for now, if you guys have feedback, I'll try to put the comics on the forums, and if people do have feedback, let me know. I love hearing from people, even if it's just hey, that sucks. I'd be like, okay, I'll try to fix that. But
and, you can also find Vox on our Discord server too. So
I've now discovered that, and I'll join that and post some art there. So I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff, but always like to get some interaction with people, and if there's group projects and things like that, always glad to be a part of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So make sure to shoot any script ideas over to him. Yeah.
Or if you want to help work on art and stuff, whatever he was looking for was open collaboration stuff. So if you're interested in that, Mackie, I'm looking at you.
He's looking at you, kid.
Yeah, no, I've known Mackie for a while, so he's been doing great stuff. So yeah.
All right, well, thank you again so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you on again sometime in the future. And it was great learning about like more of the comic. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys, and everyone else out there. Thank you for listening, and happy holidays to you all.
Yeah, happy holidays. We'll see you in the new
year.
By.
Yep. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.